All right, good morning, everyone. I would like to say welcome to all of you for our very first class. We are going to learn together about English for specific purposes in the field of maritime industry. I know all of you guys would like to or have a dream job to be able to work in the maritime industry. So in this one semester, I'm gonna be your tutor. My name is Andra Hidayah. Will accompany you to learn together about how to communicate and how to learn about English in the field of maritime industry. So before we continue to our material, I'd like to introduce to you what is English for specific purposes first. In this course, we're not going to talk about grammar in general, or we're not going to talk about English in general, because maybe some of you would expect that we are going to get like general grammar lesson, or we're going to talk about how to communicate in English in general. But in this context, especially because this is an English specific purposes, we have a specific purposes to be learning English. So we're not going to focus on general context, but we are going to focus only on specific context, which is in this semester we are going to learn about English for maritime. So in this case, I can say that this course is specially designed for you because you guys, as a senior high school students, might have a dream job for maritime industry. You would like to work in maritime industry. So this course is specially designed for you. We are going to learn about how to communicate in marine industry and shipping industry. So in this class, we will not, as I said before, we will not to talk about grammar for such a long time, and we're not going to memorize grammar, but we are going to focus only on how to communicate better in real world communication, especially in maritime industry. All right. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our 16 journey in this semester. We are having four main topics for this semester. The first one, we are going to talk about facial familiarization and crew roles. In this material, you will going to learn about the autonomy of ship and the hierarchy of a crew, because you know this is a very basic. We are going to make our brain familiar with the basic vocabulary about ship, what's kind of like part of the ship, and what's kind of roles or crew roles that we are going to face in this industry. For example, we are going to learn about what is the name of the part of the ship, or we're going to learn about what is your status, or what is your title in a certain position, because as we know that in maritime industry it has their status and position. We are going to learn about it. So number two, we are going to learn about a standard maritime communication phrases, or SMCP. So as I said before, once again, you cannot just learn about English in general, but we are going to learn specifically about the standard maritime communication or phrases. I'm gonna show you like very basic or even non-basic, or a few phrases that might help you to use in a real world communication. So this is actually where we learn how to use the professional phrases and how to use even casual phrases in order to talk with a lot of people, with a lot of uh, people with different ethnic culture or background, or even region, you know. So at number three, we're going to talk about navigation and emergency procedures. In this lesson, we are going to talk about what kind of emergency that might happen in the ship, or what kind of way to say, or what we do and how we behave and act when the emergency time happened. And we are going to talk about navigation too. Like, as we know that the sea can be really dangerous, everyone. So it is important to learn about how to navigate the ship, and also how to use a proper way to communicate when the emergency time happened. Right, that's it. And finally, the number four, or last but not least, we are going to talk about cross-cultural communication at sea. As we know that you guys are going to work, cross the sea, and you're going to meet a lot of people with different background, right? So in this case, we need to know how to communicate in cross-cultural communication. How and why we need to talk about this? Because everyone came from a very different background, very different culture, and very different way of communication. There's some people who like to talk with this way, or some people who talks with that way, which is, we cannot just make it in general. I mean, we cannot put it in boxes, or make it the same thing. So we have to learn a specific cross-cultural context. We have to understand a specific context and put that into our communication styles in order to be able to respect different people with different background. Hey, I know it sounds challenging, everybody, but I promise to you that it will be fun. We are going to have a lot of fun in this semester. So in this semester, I have a goals and target that we are going to, we have the ultimate target is to reach the B1 level. According to your need analysis a few days ago, I found that your English level is around B1. So I want to make it bold. I want to reach that level, the CFR B1, or the intermediate level. But our today's mission, we have only four goals, everyone. We need to understand the global shipping industry, identify basic ship anatomy, like hull, deck, bridge, and etc. And we also want to, you know, talk and know how to talk in maritime vocabulary, and also encourage all of you guys to learn in communicating with a cross-cultural context. All right. Okay, next, yeah. Okay, as we know, and I think all of you guys has already known that when we talk about maritime industry, we are going to work in a very massive industry. It connects all everybody's in the world. So because ships travel from one country to another, so this industry requires a very standard communication, especially in cross-cultural communications. For example, if a captain from Indonesia talks to a port authority in, for example, in Japan, you guys might think that the language that the captain will use is Japan, right? But not, it's not correct, because the international language of the marine industry is English. Even though Japan has their own language, China has their own language, but when we talk about marine industry, it is English as the international language at the sea. Got the point? Okay, if you got the point, we will continue to the basic ship anatomy. This is our main material, everyone. So we are going to talk about ship anatomy. I think this is a very basic, and I think some of you might already know this specific or this vocabulary, but I would like to remind you this material. So the first one is hull. We can say like hull, the main body of the ship. Kalau dalam bahasa Indonesia kita bisa bilang lambung atau badan utama kapal. Next one, is deck. Nah, when we talk about deck, this is for the floor or atau dalam bahasa Indonesia kita bisa bilang geladak atau lantai kapal, teman-teman. Oke, next one is bridge. Mungkin beberapa dari teman-teman ini akan mikir kalau ini adalah jembatan, tapi dalam shape itu ada namanya anjungan atau brain or ruang komando kapal. Jadi ini bukan jembatan yang biasa kita lihat di general English ya, tapi dalam konteks shape it's related to the head of the ship or the place where our captain operates the ship, something like that. Next we have holds. This is the storage room of the cargo. This is a cargo storage room, atau dalam bahasa Indonesia bisa disebutnya palka, teman-teman. Jadi ini untuk kalau dalam ship ini untuk menyimpan ruangan-ruangan kargo gitu, hal-hal yang bersifat kargo yang besar-besar, teman-teman. Okay. Next one ada bow. Bow ini itu merupakan tempat depan atau bagian depan dari kapalnya gitu, atau bisa disebut halwen. Atau when I have to explain that in English, it is the front part of the ship. So, oke, lanjut, ada stern. Stern ini adalah back part of the ship atau dalam bahasa Indonesia kita sebutnya buritan. Ini adalah bagian belakang dari kapal. Selanjutnya ada port. Nah, port ini itu adalah sisi kiri dan kanan dari port ini adalah sisi kiri dari kapal, sedangkan starboard itu adalah sisi kanan dari kapal. Jadi beda, teman-teman. Kalau sisi kiri itu namanya port, kalau sisi kanan itu namanya starboard. Itu. Dan terakhir we have the funnel, which is kalau dalam bahasa Indonesia kita bisa bilang cerobong asap. Pasti teman-teman lihat kan, kalau di kapal itu pasti ada cerobong asap yang mengeluarkan asap gitu. In English we can say that port is the funnel, something like that. Okay, that's very basic vocabulary that you guys need to memorize, or you need to understand first. But I think some of you might already familiar with that because I think you have a lot of research before. So I want you to remember these words because we are going to use them in a game right now. Hey, we're going to do a game. So I want you guys to do a vocabulary mapping. I want you to work in a group. So your task is to map the maritime words I gave you into the correct domains. Is it a ship part, a crew role, or an emergency term? And listen to this carefully. Your active participation today gives you 2% of your final grade. So discuss with your friends and do your best. You have 15 minutes to do it. Okay. If you guys have already finished your work, you can submit your work into the link that I will send to you in our group WhatsApp. Okay. I think you guys did a very great job today. So that's all for today's material. I know that this is very basic and this is just the beginning of our journey, and I promise after this we are going to learn more and more about phrases, how to communicate properly, and in a very real world context or real world communication or situation. Okay, you guys have a very excellent job today. Let's wrap up and give a round of applause for everyone. Today we learn about the industry scope and the basic ship anatomy, like hull, deck, bridge, and holds. So for the next meeting or next week, I want you to guys prepare because we will dive deeper into ships types like tankers, bulk carriers, and we will learn more structured terminology like bow and stern. All right, thank you so much for your great energy today, and I'll see you next week.